Effective marathon training is a lot like building a pyramid. There's many different layers that stack on top of one another. And when they're assembled correctly, you can reach really tremendous heights. But you need to make sure that you have a very strong foundation and that each layer beneath the higher layers is bigger than those on top of it to get to that very high peak you want to get to. The pyramid of marathon training consists of really 4 different styles of running I'm going to talk about today. In this simile, we have 4 layers of the pyramid. And when you do these 4 things right, you can really reach tremendous heights with your marathon running. You can't expect to do well at the highest levels unless you've built a strong foundation beneath you to support those highest levels. And on this episode of the Knighton Runs podcast, we're going to get right into this, the 4 different layers of training that you want to make sure you implement into your overall running program to build your pyramid, to build a strong base, to build big supportive middle layers that are going to get you to the highest peak on race day. If you're new to the show, welcome. I want to encourage you to download a free copy of my book, Run Faster Marathons, The Proven Path to PR. You can just go to knightonruns.com/book to get the preview edition today. I'll also have a link in the show notes. And today's episode is also brought to you by listeners like you. Thanks for everyone who supports this show on my Patreon page at patreon.com/KnightonRuns. If you enjoy today's episode and get anything from it, want to support the work that I do, you can do so generously at patreon.com/KnightonRuns. All right, so let's get into it. The pyramid of marathon training, as I said, really consists of 4 different layers. If you want to do well at the highest layers, you need to make sure that you have built a strong and wide, effective base beneath each of those. So for those watching the YouTube episode, I'm going to share a chart that I created. And for those just listening along, I will describe it. So I'm going to open up this image that I created. So here we have the pyramid of marathon training. And really, this is 4 different speeds that you want to incorporate into your overall training program. I often get asked the question, how much of each pace should I run throughout training? There's a common misconception that by running faster all the time, you're going to get faster. That's not the best way to get faster. On the flip side, you definitely don't want to run slow all the time either. When I tell folks to slow down, when I tell people that the number 1 mistake that runners make is running too fast, that doesn't give you permission to run slow all the time, at least not if you want to be as good as you can be. Really, you want to be building a pyramid, and I'm talking about that here. The 4 layers of the pyramid are easy mileage, that's the base. The second layer is tempo running. That's layer 2. The third layer is speed workouts. And the 4th layer is the pinnacle of the pyramid, the very top. It is racing and strides. Now, easy mileage should consist of about 80% of your total weekly mileage. Now, most folks listening to this are probably not running 100 miles a week, but let's just say for the sake of math, if you were running 100 miles per week, 80% of that would mean 80% of your weekly mileage, or 80 miles per week would be easy. Tempo running is 10% of your weekly mileage. So if you're running 100 miles per week, that would be 10 miles per week at tempo. Speed workouts are about 8% of your total weekly mileage. So if you're running 100 miles per week, 8 miles per week. And then racing and strides is really the pinnacle of it all. Most weeks, you're not going to be racing at all, but you do want to be doing some fast race pace or faster running, which is often in the form of strides. And I'll get a little bit into what strides are later in the show for those who aren't familiar with them. But this is like 1 or 2% of your total weekly mileage. If you're running, let's say 40 miles per week, the math is fairly easy here too. You would have 80% of it easy mileage, 20% of it this harder mileage made up of tempo running, speed workouts, and racing and strides. 20% of 40, if I can do my math right, is 8 miles. If I'm wrong, let me know. 8 miles. So that means that 32 miles of your 40 miles per week are going to be easy mileage. That's the 80%. Then 10% of 40 is going to be tempo running. So that's about 4 miles per week. Speed workouts, about 8%. So maybe this is like 3 miles per week, roughly. And racing and strides, maybe you have about a mile consisting of those over the course of the week of strides. And on a week that you are doing a lot, like an actual race, 5K, 10K, half marathon, or marathon, you back off on the speed workouts and tempo running that week so that you're only doing up to about 20% of that total weekly mileage in hard running, and you're still doing about 80% of easy running where applicable. Doesn't really work for most folks on the week that you're running a marathon, but say you're doing a 5K or something like that, you would back off on the speed workouts that week such that the 5K could kind of fall into that 8% of total mileage that is being attributed to speed workouts. So that is a basis of how much of each pace that you should run each week. The pyramid of marathon training is based upon easy mileage. Easy mileage is the foundation of your peak fitness. It's the base. The wider that base is, the bigger that base is, the more miles per week that you do as easy mileage while keeping it to 80% of your total, the higher this pyramid's going to get. Tempo running is the next layer up. And really, tempo running is the most important workout for marathoners when it comes to running fast. Tempo runs should be about 10% of your total weekly mileage, and they can be done pretty much year-round and throughout training almost every week, except for the very early base building weeks where you're only easy running. You're going to want to include a tempo workout. Tempo paces is a range, and there's many different styles of tempo workouts that a coach may give you or you may see on a training plan. But typically, tempo pace is going to be somewhere from 10K pace to as slow as your marathon pace. And the whole point of tempo running is to get you more comfortable with uncomfortable paces. They're endurance-based paces that you can sustain for a long period of time. And if you're training for a marathon or a half marathon, tempo running is also a great speed workout because the pace is generally equal to or usually faster than what will be your marathon or your half marathon race pace. So marathoners should really be doing a tempo workout just about every single week throughout training. And again, this is going to teach you how to sustain a faster pace for longer. It'll teach you how to be more comfortable in an uncomfortable intensity. And it's going to help you feel more confident in your races. Easy running is all fine and good, but it's comfortable. It's easy. Racing isn't comfortable and racing isn't easy. Tempo running is what bridges the gap between the aerobic fitness that you build through easy long distance running and actual racing. Now, speed workouts is the third layer of the pyramid. And speed workouts, like I said, should be about 8% of your total weekly mileage. The type of speed workout you're going to do is going to vary dramatically depending on what stage of training you're in, what time of the year you're in, how far away your goal race is. You've probably heard me talk about on other episodes or in my book, the 6 phases of marathon training, where I say first you want to build your base, Then you want to work on your speed. Then you want to work on specific endurance before you then start to taper, run your race, and then recover after that. Speed workouts for the marathon, in my opinion, I think that you should do faster and shorter speed workouts early on in training when you're far away from your marathon. So this could be things like 400s or 800 meters at 5K to 10K pace. That's a great intensity for helping you run faster and getting more comfortable running faster. But then as you get closer to your actual marathon or half marathon, your speed workouts should become more specific to what it's going to take to actually run that half marathon or marathon well. So your intervals would become longer and slower. They would still be faster than your goal half or marathon race pace, but not significantly such. Maybe 10 seconds per mile faster. Or maybe your speed workouts would essentially become tempo workouts, and your tempo workouts during this specific phase would become race pace workouts. All in all, though, tempo running plus speed workouts should total up to about 18% of your total weekly mileage. So again, if you're running 40 miles per week, this would be about 7 miles per week of faster running that you would do. Speed workouts, maybe 3 miles of it. Tempo running, maybe 4 miles of it. Now, the fourth and final layer of pyramid of marathon training is racing and strides. Most weeks, you'll just be doing strides, and this is going to be the fastest running that you do as a marathon trainer. Generally, strides for marathoners are going to be somewhere from 1 mile race pace to 5K race pace. And these are something that you could do 2 or 3 times per week. There's really 2 different ways that you can do them. You can either do them at the end of an easy run, or you can do them at the beginning of a faster tempo run or speed workout as part of your warm-up for that workout to come. An example of a stride session would be doing 4 times 20-second repeats, a little bit faster than 5K pace, and then giving yourself a full recovery, standing around for about a minute. What strides do is they help teach your body to run fast very efficiently. So if you do 4 times 20 seconds at 5K pace or faster, and you do that 2 or 3 times per week with a full recovery in between, and you do that for several months on end, your body is going to get very efficient at running fast. You're going to develop the biomechanical efficiency that you need to move quickly to run that speed. And it's going to really help make all of your actual race paces for the distances, the longer distances that you're training for, it's going to make them feel biomechanically much slower, much easier. You never want your half marathon or your marathon pace to feel biomechanically fast. Those paces, when you get to race day, are always going to feel quite comfortable. Both aerobically and biomechanically. Doing strides weekly, 2 or 3 times per week, is really going to help improve your efficiency running fast. It's going to improve your running form, and it will help increase your top end speed, which will ultimately lead to you becoming faster overall in every distance. So the pyramid of marathon training, to kind of wrap this up, the bigger your base of each layer, the more you can do on top of that. And you can't expect to do well at the higher layers unless you're also doing what comes below that and doing it well. So you can't expect to run good tempo workouts if you're not doing a good base of easy mileage. You can't expect to do fast speed workouts and do a high volume of speed if you're not doing the longer tempo workouts before that already, and you're not doing quite a larger volume of those. And you can't expect to do well in racing if you aren't doing well in your speed workouts, if you're not doing well in your larger volume of tempo workouts, and you're not doing well in your even larger version of easy mileage. So if you want to train effectively for the marathon, think of this concept. Think of these 4 different paces that you need to layer into your week. Hopefully this helps answer how much of each pace you should run throughout the week. And know that the specifics of the workouts that you're doing are going to vary over time, but in general, 80% easy mileage, that is the base. 10% tempo running, that is layer 2. Once you've got that down, you can go to speed workouts, which is 8% of your total weekly mileage. And once you've got that down, you're going to be ready to race. Strides are about 2% of your weekly mileage, but you can start doing those earlier. Strides are actually a great introduction to some of these faster workouts like tempo running and speed workouts. So generally, when I get someone started on a training program, I'll have them do easy running for a few weeks, build that base of mileage, get comfortable running. Then I layer in strides 2 or 3 times per week so that they start to get comfortable running faster. And maybe these aren't the fastest strides in the world just yet, but it gets you prepared to do the tempo and speed workouts that are to come. Then after a week or so of just doing strides plus easy running, I'll start to bring in maybe 1, maybe 2 tempo workouts per week. And then once they're good with that, I'll start to bring in the speed workouts. Once all of these layers are built and stacked on top of each other, that's when we look at trying to widen them. So increasing the total volume of easy mileage, increasing the total volume of tempo running, increasing the total volume of speed workouts. And ultimately, when you do this, you will have a wider, it's more supportive and ultimately taller pyramid, which will help you race your best. You can start to incorporate the faster running like tempo, speed, and strides relatively quickly, even if you're a brand new runner. There's no prerequisite to how many miles per week or how long you must have been running before you can start to incorporate these. As long as you stick to the percentages that I put here, you should be fine. If you're, let's say, running 10 miles per week, a relatively small amount, this may mean only 2 miles of faster running per week. So it's not too much when you're first starting. I would recommend, if you're brand new to doing any of these faster speed workouts, that you train for about a month of just doing easy running before you start to do the faster workouts, just to make sure that you've built the overall strength in your body to handle the faster running. But if you've been running for a little while, go ahead and start to incorporate these workouts. It really makes running more fun. And one of the most important things that you can do to become a better runner is simply to add more variety into your program, into your weekly running. If all you do is easy running, your pyramid won't be very tall. It'll be very wide, but it won't be very tall. And if all you do is moderate pace running, the same thing. You need to stack all 4 of these layers on top of each other to reach the highest peaks. All right. I hope this was a helpful concept to talk about, the pyramid of marathon training and how much of each pace you should run in a given week. If you enjoyed today's episode, I'd love it if you would be so kind to either rate or review this podcast on your listening platform. If you would like to support future episodes of the show, you can go to patreon.com/Knighton Runs and join the Knighton Runs Supporters Club. That lets me know that you really enjoy the show, and you get a couple of benefits as well. If you join, you can ask questions for future episodes, submit topic ideas, join my community, and get your running questions answered as well. And I'll even send you a Knighton Runs sticker. And if you haven't gotten a copy of my book, Run Faster Marathons, The Proven Path to PR, I do have a free preview edition of it, which is available on my website. You can just go to knightonruns.com/book and get a copy of that today. All right. I hope your running is going well. And thank you again for listening to this episode of the Knighton Runs podcast. Till next time, take care. Bye.